I admit, I was bored. The negotiations were the usual. Humans can do this and that so long as they don't blow up this or that place. They may not kill so-and-so in return. They are allowed all the X amount of Y they want. Blah, blah, blah. The air conditioning in my suit malfunctioned, and the damn thing was getting stuffy, which did not improve my mood at all. So when recess was called, I decided to step out and see Konasai for myself. For those of you that don't know or don't care, the Kondar are still very sore about our first contact. They fear us, yes, but below that layer of fear is a simmering hatred, kinda like a child has against his parents when they ground him. Anyway, I'm strolling along the city streets, the locals giving me and my bodyguard a wide berth, when I stumble upon a Cineplex. Normally I wouldn't be interested, but the title of one caught my eye. 19. First Contact. I ask the fellow at the ticket booth and he tells me that it's about when the humans first made contact with his race, and the ensuing war. Which is weird because the history books don't mention much about a war. So after he's done urinating himself, I decide to purchase a pass to watch this bit of comedy. And that was when I saw how exaggerated the stories of our race have gone. The average human movie is at most 3.5 hours long. Kondar flicks last longer, and this little number was a whopping 6.7 hours. Thankfully, it was already starting, so I did not have to see the previews. The room was darkened and was relatively conditioned, so I opted to remove my helmet, something I know I should not have done, but hey, it was dark. Everyone was focused on the opening parental advisory and reminder to shut off all extra source communication devices. To take more caution, I sat in the back where no one was positioned, so I believe no harm was done. It felt nice to cool down. It started as your typical film. We Zaman, that's what they call themselves, like us calling ourselves human, have always looked up for our answers. We sought life out there in the galaxy, and the very souls we reached out to reached back to us. In time, we thrived. In time, we established ourselves as a major power everywhere in the known verse. Except the Veil. Then it cuts to our section of the galaxy, which of course looks nothing like it really was. It's basically hell in space the way they portrayed it, full of derelict ships, planets that look all funky, and suns imploding on themselves, etc. Not true at all, but really good special effects. All ventures into the Veil have met with failure. All who entered it were never heard from again. It was a wasteland, some place we knew no life could exist. It seems what we know and what the galaxy knows are two different things. Cheesy ass line. So, as we all know, the Kondar were fighting the Gox Union that was aggressively expanding its borders into Allied space, and a Kondar security fleet had just defeated a Gox scouting fleet. It was a nice looking battle, plenty of special effects and explosions. Then they expand beyond the battle. It was taking place at Station 19, the Veil checkpoint, one that trafficked all ships going into the Veil, though mostly it was to keep aliens with more balls than brains from going straight into the death trap of our home. So the Kondar are repairing themselves, yeah, and that's when they come to the main character of this story, the captain of the Konvas. That's right, the very Konvas the Supremacy shot down. So Captain Kosag is talking with his crew about the Gox getting more aggressive and the problems that would cause, and was debating whether or not to requisition more ships for patrol, when his ensign, I think that was an ensign, I can't remember Kondar human rank equivalents, pointed out that they were getting a strong energy reading. I'm sure you and I both know this is bullcrap. We were running in slowly, so our energy output was minimal. They wouldn't have been able to detect the ship until it got to, well, the station. And we both know both of us were caught with our pants down when we saw each other, but the Kondar still see it a different way. Few Kondar, aside from diplomats, ever see a human as a human, and for reasons I still don't know, they have not disclosed our appearance to the public, and so many are still in the dark as to what we are, only having blurry, Bigfoot-esque photos to go on. Whoever directed this had an interesting imagination. We are bipedal, that much they got down, but they believe we got mandibles where our cheeks should be, and that we have 3 eyes, holes underneath our arms that sprout tentacle-like appendages for invasive procedures, as I was to learn later, and that our ships look more like a set of a horror flick than a ship. So our ships drop into the system, and the first thing they do is pan to the humans, showing what's going on inside. Apparently on the Supremacy, the captain... Hang on, it still makes me laugh when I think of it. Those idiots got our whole language wrong. It's like they took whatever words of our language they thought sounded coolest and mashed them together to form our language. The grammatical errors and accent are so atrocious for a second I thought, what the fuck is he saying? So the captain says in the subtitles, "Interesting. Fresh meat. This will make a nice change to the usual prey." Though in our language, the way he says it is, "Mash up! Tasty food! Nice kill hunting spree!" And the other human in subtitles replies, "Yes, over captain." Although he says, "Affirmative caption." No, I did not spell that wrong. That's what he, she, it said. I didn't even know we had an over captain in the Navy. They seem to know our ranking system better than us. That was sarcasm in case whoever's reading this could not pick it up. Anyway, the over-captain then says, "Inform the lesser beams that the hunt begins. Tell bugs fight start now." "Yes, over-captain. Affirmative caption." So the good guy, Kosag, takes action and aligns the fleet in a pincer formation, preparing to fire, when the captain of the fleet, some fat guy, tells him not to fire. The two get into an argument. The captain of the fleet is obviously being made out to look like some pompous buffoon that wanted peace with a bunch of murdering baby-eaters. You know, a cliché. Then the infamous transmission comes. It's staticky, but what I could make out was it sounded like, "How are you, gentlemen? All your base are belong to us." Wow, deja vu. The captain of the fleet says, "Hold your fire, they are trying to make contact." And then the Supremacy blows his ass into a half cup of atomic matter. The ever-famous warning shot was a kill shot. Kosag takes control of the fleet and orders everyone to open fire, doing a lot of cosmetic damage to the ship's front end, and the Supremacy goes all out, blasting nearly the entire fleet to scrap in a matter of minutes. And there's a lot of scenes of Condor dying horrifically, like getting burned, exploded, torn in half from shrapnel, getting sucked out into space, getting vaporized by a plasma shot. And then the Supremacy captain says, "Pitiful things, we leave. Hopefully they will provide better sport when we give them more time to prepare." "Stupid. Go now, frown bad. Ball our game better with practice swing." "Yes, over captain." Affirmative caption. And the Supremacy starts to turn back towards the Vale. Kosag, battered and bloody, pushes the corpse off the command console, starts manual override, and drives the Convas into the Supremacy's way, letting loose with everything he has. The over-captain gives the order to cripple the ship but not destroy it, as the crew's fighting spirit interests him. "Beat crap out of, but no shit beat. Are you him like of playtime fight?" And so the Supremacy blasts the Convas with its main cannon, which we know was not placed on the front, and blasts the ship aside, but doesn't outright destroy it. Kosag then is informed life support and damn near everything but the engines is shot to hell, and he decides to abandon ship. But not before he rigs the Convas to do a suicide charge right into the Supremacy's side. The Convas explodes, causing the shields to drop and causing a sizable dent in the Supremacy. Afterwards, Kosag falls unconscious and the screen goes black. The crowd is silent for a moment. The only thing you could hear was me trying to hold back my giggling. Damn, that was funny. Thank G. Bud Alaheim no one heard me. I stopped for a moment to look down at my watch to look at the time, and only a single standard hour had passed. I had to sit through 5 more hours of this? I didn't know whether to laugh or cry. I didn't get a choice as the film resumed. Kosag coming into a medbay of a Kondar cruiser, the Con King, I think it was called. So Kosag goes through the usual bullshit in these kinds of flicks, dealing with a top brass that thinks he hit his head too hard with the usual "nothing can live in the Vale" stuff that they've been sprouting since the beginning of the film. So it goes on to Kosag, temporarily relieved of duty, while he fully recovers from his head trauma. Enter love interest, the surprisingly attractive doctor, and I mean attractive by human standards, who at first does not believe Kosag, treating him as another mental patient. But as the scene keeps shifting to the supremacy classing made-up planets, people obviously are starting to get suspicious, including the doctor, who starts asking about this phantom ship. Of course, we never glassed any world. Admittedly, we blew one up, but that was when we thought it was uninhabited. But humanity had made only 2 other major incursions into Kondar space, both done by pirates. The rest were minor skirmishes that didn't happen until way after first contact. Eventually, through a 2-hour-long reel of drama which I slept through, except for the sex scene, that was actually pretty interesting. Didn't know a Kondar woman was that flexible. Kosag is delivering a message to the gathering. Basically every branch of their government meshed together into a sausage fest of epic proportions, warning of this race of planet-killing maniacs. Even with the overwhelming evidence, the gathering is hesitant about making war, especially while Goks are still fighting them. Suddenly, Goks transmission! They shall ally with Kondar, after our atrocious crimes committed against them. In reality, all we did was drop out of warp kind of close to a flagship, close enough to where we tore through the whole thing as we deaccelerated, and then obliterated the entire 1st, 2nd, and 3rd fleet when they retaliated. We still apologise, but them Goks know how to hold a grudge. Of course, with the overwhelming evidence and the support of their one-time enemies, the Kondar go to war. Except the cliché corrupt politician, and by some political bullshit the Kondar have, he stalls the whole vote. I would explain why that worked, but it would take longer than watching this damn movie. So Kosag is still grounded for massive drama before the Goks interrupt, pledging their aid against us on some kind of blood oath that apparently overrides the other guy's override. Finally, some real action. So the Allied system, alongside the Goks Union, form this huge fleet to combat the human fleet, which, by the way, looks like someone copy-pasted the supremacy several hundred times over. Kosag is given command of the Con-Sen, and placed under the command of another commander, one that was obviously red shirt material. And I was right. After the not-so-motivating speech about how they were the galaxy's last hope, they started fighting our fleet, which was just twiddling its thumbs waiting for them in a random tract of space. And it wasn't 3 minutes into it that the captain of the fleet gets torn in half by teleporting boarding parties. The ensign tried to make a brave show of it, but she only killed 1 human before she was restrained. Remember those tentacle things I was talking about earlier? Yeah, tentacle stuff. Humans aren't the only one with that fetish. Interesting to watch, though. So then it turns away from the massive galactic battle to Kosag, whose ship lost power. And since the people by the reactor core are no longer responding, cut to a reactor room filled with that goop they call blood while humans are eating half-dead Kondar, he leads a team to go down there. An action flick quickly becomes a horror flick, as the human hunting band hunts the team down one by one. Eventually, only Kosag is left, who manages to kill the entire hunting party but one, who teleports him back to the Supremacy. The over-captain, who, despite never meeting him, knows Kosag instantly and gloats over his triumph. Then, faster than you can say plot hole, he breaks free, and sacrifices himself to kill the over-captain, pushing him into a reactor core, which, by the way, you should never leave open. And for some reason that ended the battle. Apparently our chain of command is destroyed when you kill our captain, so afterwards we retreated back into the Vale. Kosag is hailed as a hero, hooray and all that. Then some stirring speech from Kosag, a subtitle that says, 20 unit of time, closest translation years, later, humans are back, but we find a massive fleet waiting for us that blow us to bits. With Kosag as captain of the fleet, of course. And it ends with the same Kondar from the beginning saying, we summon have always looked up for our answers. We sought life out there in the galaxy, and the very souls we reached out to reached back to us. But the galaxy is a fickle place. Some of the very beings we called out to were not answered in peace. Some were more interested in slaughter. Cut to human hunter guy. Some in sport. Cut to overcaptain. But we Xanan shall prevail. We have before, we have now. And we always shall. And then the rolling credits play as the lights slowly come back on. I fumbled to get my helmet back on before anyone turns, and it clicked into place thankfully quick. The Kondar seem oblivious to me, talking among each other what they thought of the movie. I thought it was alright. Never thought of humans as looking like that, but no direct translation available. Divine being. Damn, they look ugly. Kosag never did any of that, though. I thought he retired a drunk. Well, you know these movie producers. Big on action, little on history. I liked the movie. For once it shows us fighting back. I couldn't resist. I thought it was a load of crap. I mean, is the guy dead or not? When everyone looked at me, I couldn't help but crack a smile. Of course, they couldn't see it under my helmet. That's probably what got them all screaming and running out of the Cineplex. I certainly had fun for one evening. Later on, it became a cult classic because of some rumour spread that all who watch the movie and talk bad about it will then die from angry human spirits bound to the essence of the film or something. Wonder how that got started. I think I'll ask for a copy of that film during the next meeting. Taken from the journal of T. Rollface, currently promoted to Chief Diplomat.